Yes, Kihotu and good evening, everyone. Welcome back to MSBS Weekly Guided Meditation by Phra Goh. Today is the 11th of April 2023. I'd like to extend a great welcome to all new viewers to this channel. It's certainly good to see all of you on this online platform. We are very grateful to have with us Bhante Adhibalo. Bhante was born on July 14, 1985. And had his bhikkhu ordination into the Theravada tradition of Thai Dhamma sect at Sandy Forest Monastery, Johor in 2008. He is currently the religious advisor to Buddhist Network Singapore. Today, Bhante will be starting on a new topic proposed by Sister Susan. Bhante will be leading a homage to the Buddha and taking a 5 precepts for Buddhists. Now let's compose our mind, put our palms together and welcome Bhante. Over to you, Bhante.
Okay, thank you, Terence, for the intro. All right, so we shall begin by paying respects to the Buddha by giving 3 bows. So we give the first bow to the Buddha, second bow, and the third bow. So we do the opening chant, the homage. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. The 3 refuges. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. And the 5 precepts. Panatipada viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinadana viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kamesu miccacara viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musawada viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Suramiraya majapamadatthana viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so good evening to everyone. Tonight we are starting a new topic. And this theme is actually suggested by Susan. So actually anyone can suggest a query, anything you want to discuss. So she happened to bring up this subject on dependent origination. And because it is a very, very chim, very profound topic. So I guess I'll start off with this Susima sutta. So I've covered dependent origination with MSBS, I think last year, or even the last 1 or 2 years. So we've talked about it in detail, yeah, the analysis and various examples. So actually in one of the sessions I gave Susima Sutta as one of the example. So today we'll go through the entire sutta on this Susima Sutta, and we'll see how far we can go. Okay. So the story or the beginning, I'll just briefly read through, and probably I'll just stop once in a while to comment a few things. So at the beginning, I have heard that on one occasion the Blessed One was staying near Rajagaha in the bamboo grove, the squirrel sanctuary. So this is opening statement by Venerable Ananda. In most of the suttas, you'll have this kind of openings. So I continue now. At that time, the Blessed One, which is the Buddha, was worshipped, revered, honored, venerated, given homage, a recipient of robes, alms food, lodgings, and medicinal requisites for the sick. Right, so these 4 things. Recipient of robes. So robes, we say the monks have 4 kinds of requisites, 4 kind of basic needs, basic items. So first is the robes, basically your clothing. Second is the alms food. Third is the lodgings, the shelter. And the 4th one is the medicine, medicinal requisites. So total there are 4 kinds of requisites. So he's supposed to receive lots of this stuff. The community of monks was also worshipped, revered, honored, venerated, given homage, a recipient of robes, alms food, lodgings, and medicinal requisites for the sick. Right. So it's not just the Buddha, his disciples also, anybody with his label. People will normally ask, if they wear the monastic robes, they'll ask, who is your teacher? Then they'll just say, oh, my teacher is Gautama Buddha. And people will start to pay respect to you and start to give you lots of items, right? So so at this point of time, we can safely say that the Buddhist religion was flourishing, at least this point of time. So in early years, maybe not so much. Sometimes the Buddha, he also got hungry from his alms round, he can't get food, and they were living in a very, very simple kind of lifestyle. So even though it was also simple, but now things get piling up. So even in the Vinaya rules, the monasteries also have assigned storeroom IC, somebody in charge of the storeroom. So sometimes the medicinal requisites can store a lot. So we have this rule where the monks are supposed to keep certain items within a day, so that the food, once we finish eating the alms food, we're supposed to relinquish it. Then there's this thing called a 7-day food. So after 7 days, we should clear it, especially those items, those medicinal items are considered sweet, have energy value. You keep for too long, you attract a lot of animals, a lot of insects, animals. So the Buddha sort of give a 7-day limit, 7-day limit of keeping. So the monks can keep those items for 7 days. After 7 days, they need to relinquish them, relinquish them to the lay persons. And then there's another category called a lifetime medicine. You can keep for lifetime. Stuff like which doesn't have energy value, like salt, maybe coffee powder, tea leaves, and stuff like that. So this one can sort of keep for lifetime. Okay, so so same with the robes and stuff like that. So the monks, by right, we are supposed to keep with us only 1 set of robes. So sometimes people offer lots of robes. Then we just put in the cabinet or put in as a storeroom to keep all the robes. So whenever the robes are supposedly torn or torn beyond repair, then we can use them. Or sometimes certain monasteries, or certain visiting monks, they need robes, then we can pass it to them. So that's a function of the storeroom. Okay, then I'll continue reading. But the wanderers of other sects. So the term very interesting. They use wanderers of other sects. They don't use wanderers of other religions. So at that point of time, the Buddha still consider themselves as the Samana community. So Samana is the truth seeker. Yeah, so at that point of time, there were lots of these sort of people going for this, how do you call it? Out of the town, go to the forest, go to the caves, try to meditate, find truth, find the meaning of life. So this community of ascetics, this community of the practitioners, they call the samanas, truth seekers. So it's quite, it's a popular, growing community, and that's how the Buddha initially was inspired. The 4 sights he saw old man, a sick man, a dead man, and he saw this ascetic, this samana. So after seeing this samana, he was inspired, and he left the palace. He followed their sort of way of life, and inside the Vinaya, the monastic rules, we have things like the monks and the ascetics from the other sects were wearing similar robes. It was so similar that, let's say, when they bathed in the river, they put the robes on a tree branch, and they came up from the river. They mix up the robes. They don't know whose robes is who. Even they mix up with the other sects. So it was this close. It was this similar. So along the way, then probably the robes probably became more distinct. This Venerable Ananda sort of recommended the robes have this paddy field. Okay, so now this Terence is gone. His Wi-Fi is problem, so I just continue speaking. This paddy field, kind of what do they call this? Paddy field pattern, square-shaped brick-like patterns. All right, so this is the contribution of Venerable Ananda. So now the Buddhist monks' robe have this patch-like pattern to the robes, but sometimes a bit hard to see. Yeah. Okay, so let me see whether I can do the share screen, or we wait for Terence. So at the meantime, if you want to ask any questions, feel free to ask.
Bante.
Yep.
The paddy field, is it because it represents the Keta, the Punya Keta?
Oh, no. The paddy field initially was because when the monks wore just like one piece of robe, it looks new, you see. So even monks can get robbed, those days. So in order to prevent these robberies or reduce these robberies, they want to make the robes look like beggars' robe. So they had all these square like patchwork, like very poor. So these are actually patches.
Okay.
So initially that was the idea, but along the way, then these patches look more and more beautiful. It was so nice. Even in the Buddha's time, there were monks who were so expert in sewing. They're so proficient in sewing that they make the patchwork look so beautiful that even the ascetics from the other communities, they want to, how do you call it? They want to trade with the monks' patch robes. So they give the whole unpatched robe to the monks and exchange with the monks' patch robe. So that was how sort of extreme it got.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bante.
Okay, no problem. Okay, I got the screen up and see whether I can do the share screen. Okay, can you all see my screen? Can see
yes,
now?
Yes, Bante.
Okay,
yes.
all right.
Yes.
So now I'm doing the share screen, and so I've stopped until the wanderers of other sects probably were not so popular. So they did not receive as much of these requisites. They didn't receive much veneration as the Buddhist, we call it sect at that time. So what happened was, this particular group, so I'm going to read this statement. So at that time, Susima, the wanderer, was living in Rajagaha with a large following of wanderers. And so Susima's following of wanderers said to him, "Come now, friend Susima, go live the holy life under Gautama the contemplative. When you have completely mastered the Dhamma, tell it to us. When we have completely mastered it, we will teach it to the householders, and then we too will be worshipped, revered, honored, venerated, given homage. We too will become recipients of robes, almsful, lodgings, and medicinal requisites for the sick." So basically, they also want to have all these veneration and offerings, these material offerings. So they want to know what's the secret ingredient, or what's the special or secret teaching that make this Buddhist sect at the time so popular, so famous at the time. So they want to send a spy. So this spy is this Susima. So that's where the name derived, Susima Sutta. So Susima is actually a spy. Okay, so responding, as you say, friends, and to his own following, Susima the wanderer went to Venerable Ananda, and on arrival exchanged courteous greetings with him. After an exchange of friendly greetings and courtesies, he sat to one side, and as he was sitting there, he said to Venerable Ananda, "Friend Ananda, I want to live the holy life in this Dhamma and discipline." So basically, he want to do an ordination. So what happened is the ascetics of different sects, if they want to go from a new teacher, they ordain under this new teacher. So you can see this behavior interestingly happening now, even in the different Buddhist sects, different Buddhist schools. So in the Thai tradition especially, even though Thai tradition has just two schools, one school is the Mahanikaya school, the majority school, and one school is the Dhammayut school, and the smaller but the newer movement. So these two are the sort of the officially recognized school according to the religious department in Thailand. So I belong to the Dhammayut school, the newer school. Then of course there are lots of monks from the Mahanikaya school. So in the past, or even now, if let's say one monk want to, there's this story and when Ajahn Man sort of founded the forest tradition, or founded the forest movement, founded the forest system, right? So one of his sort of disciples was Ajahn Chah. So Ajahn Man belongs to the Dhammayut sect, which is the newer movement, whereas Ajahn Chah belonged to the Mahanikaya school. So Ajahn Chah actually, if you want to learn from a teacher, at that time, he wanted to reordain under Ajahn Man. So that was a story, because if you want to learn and follow the teacher, you need to live with the teacher. So if you live with the teacher, the kind of rules, the monastic rules must be sort of in sync, that means the same. You cannot have one school, this is not offense, the other school treat it as an offense. So the monks need to do this confession, every new and full moon days, the Patimokkha ceremony where we recite the rules. So imagine one school to you is not at fault, but the other school at fault. And then it's like, should you confess or not confess? So it brings a lot of this conflict and problems. So in order to sort of reduce this social conflict, normally it's the case to kind of reordain. So Ajahn Chah actually wanted to suggest to reordain under Ajahn Man, but Ajahn Man sort of say no need. He say ask Ajahn Chah to go start your own forest tradition. Right? So now we have the Ajahn Chah forest tradition and also the Ajahn Man's forest tradition. So there's two sort of lineages in the Thai forest tradition. So it starts from all these sectarian issues. Huh? So, so in this case, in the sutta, so friend Ananda, I want to live the holy life in this Dhamma and discipline. Huh? So there's two things, the Dhamma, which is the teaching, and the discipline, which is the Vinaya, the monastic rules. Yeah? For example, certain things, maybe the ascetics maybe can keep long hair. Right. So, but if you want to ordain under this the Buddhist sect, they need to shave botak. They need to shave off their hair, right? So, in order to follow, kind of keep in harmony with the community. So, so he offered to, he made a request to ordain under this Buddhist school. So then Venerable Ananda took Susima, the wanderer, to the Buddha, the Blessed One, and on arrival, having bowed down to the Blessed One, sat to one side. As he was sitting there, he said to the Blessed One, Lord, this wanderer Susima has said, Friend Ananda, I want to live the holy life in this Dhamma discipline. So basically, he's just conveying the request. Venerable Ananda is conveying the request of Susima to the Buddha to get Buddha's approval. Yeah, if the Buddha was nearby, then Buddha can do the ordination. So probably that was still one of the earlier phases. There was one point in the Buddha's life, especially I think when he was older, when the religion was growing, because India and Nepal was quite large. You cannot expect the Buddha to walk to the new candidate to ordain, or you expect the new candidate to walk to the Buddha to ordain. So it's quite a long distance, India, quite big. So the Buddha actually allowed the monks to actually conduct the ordination ceremony without him. Yeah, so there's some protocols. You need to have minimum of four monks. If let's say the place is in a rural area, if you have a quorum of more monks, that will be better. So you need these criteria, then you can do the ordination ceremony. Somehow in the Theravada school, most of the mainstream schools, especially we talk about the nuns, the nun order, the female monastics, it was believed that due to the lack of the quorum, lack of the number of monastics, they cannot ordain new nuns, so they believed the nun order was extinct. So there were some revival attempts. So again, there was some controversy when they brought in from other lineages, and whether is it pure or not pure. So it refers back to the first paragraph, or the whether this Dhamma and discipline from the other lineages, is it the same as the monk sort of doing the ordination. So there's a lot of these minor details. So again, subject of debate. Okay, so I move on. All right, so the Buddha, I think, replied, then in that case, Ananda, give him the going forth. So the Buddha actually delegate the ordination ceremony to Ananda. Ask this Susima to ordain. So Susima the wanderer gained the going forth in the presence of the Blessed One. He gained the acceptance into the community of monks. So Susima got the permission from the Buddha, and Viola, he became a monk. Right. So if the monk is personally ordained by the Buddha will mention Ehi Bhikkhu, that means come Bhikkhu, come a monk. So that was enough for a person to ordain. So nowadays the ordination ceremony, lots of ritual, lots of chanting, lots of memorization, lots of quizzing, back and forth, replying and answering between the preceptor and the candidate, probably like at least half an hour or more ceremony. Whereas this one is just like one sentence. So it's a very different procedure. Okay, and now at that time, a large number of monks had declared final gnosis, that means enlightenment, in the Blessed One's presence. We discern that birth is ended, the holy life fulfilled, the task done, There is nothing further for the sake of this world. So basically, enlightened being, they declare birth is ended, yeah, no more birth. So we'll discuss this later on in detail. What is the meaning of this birth, since this theme is on dependent origination? The task done, there's nothing further for the sake of this world. So normally, like declaration of spiritual attainment or realizations, normally we do it between the teacher and student. So the student declare to the teacher, the Buddha, or how do you call it? We have this interesting rule. I think I mentioned before that monastics aren't allowed to declare to the layperson. I think this would be much later in the Buddha's life, because when the monks grew to a bigger number, so if let's say any monk were to declare, or say they reach enlightenment or reach this certain attainment, then the like what the community from the Susima would believe, if you have reached certain level of spirituality, people will respect you, and then people will give you offerings. So this is what happened if, let's say, a large community of monks, the monks who declare or announce, they will get more offerings. And what about the monks who don't declare? Then nobody go to them. Then they'll starve to death. So this is the problem. So later on, I think the Buddha gave a rule that is part of the monastic rule now, that even for monastics, we are not supposed to declare any state of realization to the lay person, even if it's factual. But if it's a lie, if it's telling a lie, then subjective to a disrobing offense. So it's even more serious. So if it's a rule, it's a small offense. But if it's telling a lie, then it's basically like swindling the devotees to learn the wrong teachings, and you kind of degenerate the Dhamma, or dilute or bring the Dhamma off course. So that is the two rules. So normally the monks play very safe, don't declare anything. So the last declaration will probably be at the deathbed. So the monks will probably question the dying monk, what level have you reached, and stuff like that. So this is probably the common practice now. Okay, so Venerable Susima heard that a large number of monks, it seems, have declared final gnosis in the Blessed One's presence. Yeah, so they declare in a way that they discern the birth is ended, holy life fulfilled, task done, there's nothing further for the sake of this world. Then Venerable Susima went to those monks, and on arrival exchanged courteous greetings with them. Then after exchanging friendly courtesies and greetings, he sat to one side. As he was sitting there, he said to them, "Is it true that you made your declaration in front of Blessed One, we discern birth is ended, holy life fulfilled, task done, nothing further for the sake of the world?" So he wanted to double confirm. Maybe sometimes a large group of people, he might hear wrongly, or sometimes the monks may look similar because everybody shaved their head botak. They all look the same, all dressed the same. So sometimes you must double check. So he went up to this group and double check, is it you that make this declaration? So they said, yes, friend. So they confirm it's them. So this is a real life experience. In the monks community, a lot of lay people will mix you up with another monk. I've been approached by many different people and asked me, are you this other monk? And I said, no, I'm not. So this is the common real life issues, factual issues. Okay, then, so this Susima, very happy. He's on his path to investigating what's the secret ingredient, what is this final product of this Dhamma, what is this final product of this holy life in this Buddhist sect. Okay, so the first question he asked to these sort of enlightened monks, Then having known thus, having seen thus, do you wield manifold supranormal powers, psychic powers? Have you been one, you become many. That means you split to multiple bodies. Having been many, you become one. So from many bodies back to one body. You appear, you vanish, able to appear, disappear, teleport. You go unimpeded through walls, face through solid matter, ramparts, and mountains as if through space. You dive in and out of earth as if it were water. You walk on water without sinking, as if it were dry land. So walking on water comes from Indian religions. Sitting cross-legged, you fly through the air like a winged bird. With your hand, you touch and stroke even the sun and moon. So you can create some kind of ethereal body to touch the planets. So mighty and powerful. You exercise influence with your body even as far as the Brahma worlds. That means you can even go to different realms, to the Brahma worlds. So this is the common stock phrase, stock formula for psychic power. So these are very common things you may find in probably now these superhero movies or comics. So it's in the ancient days they never copyright. If not, there'll be a lot of Indian religions who make a lot of money. But never mind. So they say no friend. So these enlightened monks say they have no psychic power. So nowadays, even in a lot of Buddhist communities, there's a belief that enlightened monks must have psychic powers. It's part of their requirement. So down here they say no. So in the sutta, these enlightened monks say no. Okay, then having seen thus, do you hear by means of divine ear element, purified, surpassing human, both kinds of sounds, near or far? Then you say no friend. Right, so they do not have divine ear also. Then the next one. So this one is mind reading ability. So are you able to see the mind of others? So this formula is basically, you can find it in the mindfulness of states of mind, able to know other beings' mind, the mind with passion, without passion, with greed, without greed, the mind with delusion, without delusion, a mind is restricted, expanded, scattered, not scattered, enlarged, concentrated, not concentrated, enlightened, not enlightened, and so on. So all these are different states of mind. Are you able to see other people's minds? Susima asked these enlightened monks, and they also said, no friend. And how about this one? Are you able to see your past lives? So what is the definition of past lives? So let's briefly read through. Having seen thus, do you recollect your manifold past lives? 1 birth, 2 births, 3, 4, 5. So many numbers, many eons of the universe, many universe cycles, contraction and expansion of the universe. There I had such a name. That means you can recall your name of a past life, belong to the community, the clan, what's your appearance, what kind of food you eat, what kind of experiences, pleasure and pain, and what kind of things you do, such as the end of my life, how you die, passing and appearing of that state, how you reappear from there, and how to appear to a new body. Right? There too I had such a name, and belong to such a clan, and belong to such appearance, and so on and so forth. Right? So, and these enlightened monks say, no friend. So today we just cover this. So you remember this statement. These enlightened monks cannot see past lives, but they make this declaration. You look at the last, there is first paragraph and the last paragraph. The last line. We discern that birth is ended, holy life fulfilled, task done. There's nothing further for the sake of this world. So they make this statement, birth is ended. So what do you mean by birth is ended? Can they see this birth or future births? Right? So it is mentioned that enlightened beings can't even see past lives, no? So how do they know whether this birth is ended? Right? So what is this definition of birth? Right? So we'll leave this for food for thought. So I'll end the share screen and open the floor to Q&A. Yeah, so anyone can ask the previous question. Yeah, Alice.
Yes.
Yeah, so your
My-
question is on anatta, yeah?
Yes.
Concept anatta. Okay, so anatta has many translations, like no soul, not self, non-self, no self. So different terms may vary. They might have some differences amongst them, but the concept mainly behind it is there's no fixed personality. So that's the idea. No fixed personality, right? So in Buddhism, like we believe there is like a rebirth, the concept of rebirth, like many past lives and stuff like that. So a person may have been born as a hungry ghost before. Yeah, we have sort of many past lives before, so we might have been reborn as these hungry ghosts, these wandering sort of spirits. So yeah, so that's the idea. So that's the but no matter what state we are in, the state of mind, the emotion is always changing. So the it's not a permanent soul, yeah. So it's always changing, because in the Buddhist concept, anything that's permanent should bring, you should have control. If it is yours, if it is you or yours, it should be permanent. It should bring happiness.
Okay.
But if it's not yours and is subject to change and subject to stress and suffering, then it's not self, not yours. So the thing that goes around to different birth, the mind or whatever you want to call it, the consciousness, the mind, or even the soul, it's not permanent. Yeah, it's always changing, go up and down, samsara, every moment changing. So we don't call this the permanent soul.
Okay. So the is it okay to say that okay, for those people who probably experience extreme fear, or a lot of strong attachment and clinging to the previous life, and during his death, and then he rebirthed to be a ghost, because of that clinging, how's that explained?
Possible. Yeah, possible. If the mind is in an unwholesome state, the emotion state is like towards the unwholesome side, maybe fear, anger, greed, jealousy, whatever. So they may be reborn in the lower realms.
So because the reborn into the beta realm is like instantaneous, right? They just appear there.
Yeah, it is believed so. Yeah, believed so. Yeah.
Okay.
There are certain realms which are spontaneous rebirth. Spontaneous
yeah.
rebirth. Yeah.
Thank you, Bante.
Okay, no problem. Okay, anyone else? Any questions from the ground?
Bante, I got a question.
Yeah, hi Roy. Yep.
Yeah, Bante, just now you say in the suttas, they say friend Ananda by the wanderer Susima, correct?
Yeah, Susima. Yeah.
Susima. Why did he even refer friend Ananda as why does wanderer Susima refer friend Venerable Ananda as a friend when they are totally different, practices? Though they say it's truth seeking, one is still have not been called Buddhism, but it's a totally different practice. Whereas this Susima is an ascetic of its own practice.
Yeah.
That is what I'm trying to figure out. Yeah.
Yeah, so probably he's trying to tell the context or the history at that time, that they are probably quite in friendly terms. That's how they, it's probably a PR thing between the different sects. If they want to interact with each other, they can address each other as friends. Yeah?
Okay.
Mm.
Can it be used in today's context? Just want to understand for, now that Buddhism has been founded, it's been officially called Buddhism, and I also understand that there are still ascetics practicing their own truth, their own Dhamma. So is this still possible? Example, someone of other faith, for example, refer to you or as a friend. Is this something, or they should refer you as venerable or something like that?
Yeah, okay. So the title venerable is not like a right or a privilege. So what happened was, even within the Buddhist monastic community themselves, in the Buddha's time, they address each other as friend also. And the senior monk address the junior monk as friend. The junior monk address the senior monk as friend also. So it is only in the Maha Sutta, when the Buddha was about to pass away, then he made this new protocol that from then on, the junior monks should address the senior monks as Bhante. That means venerable sir. Yeah? And senior monk can address the junior monk as friend. Yeah, so he didn't impose any rule like between the other religions or other sect, how they should address each other. So I think they can just address each other as friend, nothing wrong.
Okay. Yeah.
So we don't even talk about different religion. I just talk about even like in a secular country like Singapore, if you go through the passport or the immigration or any kind of official, you want to apply any kind of document, I think the civil servant won't call you venerable. They just call you Mr. Who and Who. They call you by the full name. Yeah, depending on what's written on your IC. Yeah.
Okay. Then just one last question, Bhante. In this case, can I safely say the wondrous Susima does not have the right view, because he was asked to learn to seek refuge under our teacher Gautama Buddha, so that he can get requisite in this case. So can I safely say that it is that kind of thought is not with the coming with the right view and the right thought when he wants to ordain under Buddhism in this case, correct? Say that.
Yeah, that's right. So actually, the Buddha would probably know, so he just let him ordain first, and let eventually in the later part of the sutta there's a moral of the story behind it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So you are right. That's not the right intention. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah. So even though the Buddha also taught freely, he didn't keep a closed fist. He didn't keep any hidden secrets. He also taught openly to the ascetics and the practitioners of other sects of other religion at that time. But the idea behind of wanting to ordain to steal information is considered unwholesome thought. Yeah. Okay, anyone else? Okay, if not, we take, yes, Dave.
Okay. I'm a little bit lost with today's so-called lesson.
Okay.
But pertaining to or dependent origination, right?
Mm-hmm.
As what I was reading, I guess the whole idea is that because every soul or every conscious being, right, in this world has some form of attachment or craving. Therefore, because of this inter-attachment or craving, we are kind of like existing for each other in that sense. Right? Is that what this whole dependent origination is all about?
Oh no, I think what you're referring that concept is interdependence. the whole world is connected, everyone is interdependent. It's different from dependent origination. Yeah. So I think some speakers may mix them up. Yeah. Normally I hear this from some Western speakers. Yeah.
I see. Okay. So in short, today's sharing about this Susima Sutta at the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is only meant to say that you know, the start of a journey towards this towards the foregoing of all your attachments is declared at the beginning of the ordainment process, right? Such that this is the last birth. You because you have let go of all your attachments and cravings, or rather, you may not have let go, but because you have already sworn that you will undertake this journey to fully let go, and for that, it can be concluded that this birth is the last. That kind of thing. Is that correct?
No, not that. What happened was the Susima, he did his ordination. He's the only person who got ordained at that time. And there were other monks nearby who declared their enlightenment. So Susima overheard this group of monks, they declared enlightenment, so he was so happy and he interviewed them.
I see. Okay. Okay, I guess we have to listen to the other parts of the lessons first.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Bhante.
Okay, no problem. Okay, anyone else? Y'all can understand the story so far, yeah? Who is lost or confused? Okay, yeah, so the next few lessons we will touch deeper on this dependent origination. So basically today's part is more on clearing the misconception that understanding dependent origination means you must have certain abilities, to see past lives and stuff like that, or enlightened person should be able to see past lives. So what's the link? An enlightened person should have the right view and understand dependent origination. So that's the idea. And dependent origination has nothing to do with seeing past lives. Right, so that's the summary for today, today's lesson, theoretical sharing. Okay, if there's no issues, we go for a break and we'll come back in 5 minutes time. So while waiting for the rest to come back, anyone here has anything you want to discuss?
Bante got one question to ask.
Okay.
Why did Ajahn Mun allow Ajahn Chah to start a lineage in this case?
I have no idea, yeah, but probably there's it's probably troublesome to get all the Mahanikaya monks to reordain in this Dhamma school. So I think it's more practical for the Mahanikaya side to start their own forest lineage. So they don't have to reordain and a lot of administrative issues. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So Bante, because I'm new, I don't know. I want to ask about your lineage.
Okay.
Do you belong to?
Yeah, I belong to the
Which one?
Dhamma Youth lineage, which is same lineage as Ajahn Mun, same sect. Yeah.
Okay. So Ajahn Chah one is a totally different one.
Different, different sect. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But they still call themselves forest tradition.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Bante.
So I call this a forest movement. Yeah.
Forest movement. Okay.
We sometimes use the tradition, then people are like, is it Mahayana tradition, Theravada tradition? So the term has different context to it.
So basically, the teaching is the same, Bante. It's
I would say there's, from what I observed from the Ajahn Chah side, the monks when they come and transit in Pali, like their monks are probably maybe more educated. They have like a system, there's like probably like a group study session and stuff like that. So in terms of knowledge-wise, they are a bit more, how do you call it, focus on education, yeah.
okay.
Whereas Dhamma Youth is a bit more freestyle, up to individual abbot, yeah.
Okay. Bante, may I know why do you call your session against the stream?
Yeah, against the stream of desire, against the stream of craving.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
No problem. Initially, Terence suggested entering the stream. But then
Yes.
I think there's another ongoing tour by Bante Agachita on the same same theme.
Yes, yes,
So when I
yes.
go to Malaysia, I'll clash with him. So better don't confuse. Yeah, monks to monks already a lot of confusion already. So you add the same topic, same theme, more confusion.
Yes, because I'm joining when the Bante Agachita one, the entering the stream.
Okay.
But to my finding is that he is going to have a lot of discussion on the suttas, on attending on Sotapan.
Okay.
So many discussion until, because in my group a lot of beginner and then
okay.
everyone is confusing each other, with the very shallow learning and all that.
Okay.
So so I escape that and come for meditation instead.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So different people at the different points in their learning, they need different things. So you just choose which activity that suit you.
Yeah.
Yes, Irene, you have something?
No, it's okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So preferably you can turn on the camera so that I know you're there. So I'm not talking to an unseen being. Okay, so for those who are ready, we can mute the mic. Find a comfortable sitting position. Make sure your back is upright. Okay, then we're going to start off with the so-called meditation routine. Okay, so we're going to use this a bit of visualization on these impurities of the body. Yeah, visualize. So using mind door. So we are starting to first visualize all the hairs of the head and hairs of the body. So when we think of the hairs, if a person is not instructed on what to contemplate, and they just think of the hair, very easy for the mind to drift off. So the mind will either incline, if let's say there's a pleasant feeling, the mind will react with greed. Maybe they like the hair looks so beautiful, I like my hair, I like this fashion. So a person will react with greed. Yeah, so that is one kind of birth. And if let's say there is an unpleasant feeling, then one's mind will react with anger. Yeah, I don't like this fashion, this hairstyle, I don't like. My hair so messy one. Then you have aversion, anger. So that is also another kind of birth. Birth of becoming, birth of this ego, birth of this sense of self. So what we are doing now is we are trying to walk the middle path, avoiding these extremes. So what we're doing is first wish all the hairs well and happy. Thoughts of loving kindness to overcome aversion. So every time you think of a new patch of hair, then we wish it well and happy. And it's not just one thought only. When you rethink of a new image, a new patch of hair, you move on to another portion of the body, new patch of hair, then you need to wish again. Wish that hair well and happy. So this repetition is called right effort. So every time there's a new contact of the mind, a new image arise, then you wish it well and happy. Right thought, right effort. So the more we have thoughts of loving kindness, the craving or the desire of aversion should reduce. And if it reduces, there should be a symptom of peace. The more craving, the more stress. The less craving, the more peace. Less tension, less stress. And if you find your mind quite calm, then this is the conducive state to introduce the truth or reflect on reality. So all these hairs go through birth, aging, sickness, and passing away. Many birth and death, hair growing and falling, growing and falling. Many, many cycles. So the whole idea is not to over dramatize the process. Don't need to think of what kind of conditioner you use, what kind of shampoo you use. Just think of hairs growing and falling. And the whole idea is to reflect on impermanence. So these images, when they arise and pass away, what other things arise and pass away? So there are other mental functions that arise and pass away when the image changes. So we have this thing called the 5 aggregates. So the hair is a form, so that's the first aggregate. A certain shape, certain texture, certain density, and so on. Then we have the second aggregate called the feeling. So feelings are pleasant, unpleasant, neutral feelings. So whenever the hair changes in shape, or when it starts to fall or starts to grow, are the feelings the same? When the hair starts to grow, what kind of feeling you have? When it falls down, what kind of feeling you have? Is it the same? Is it changing? And next we have this third aggregate is perception. So perception are all the words, all the labels, all the memories you have that you try to cognize this image. You make use of that memory to cognize this image or recognize this image. So you give a label, you call this a hair. You call this a new hair, you call this old hair. So all these labels are called perceptions. And we have this fourth aggregate called mental formation. Every time we think of a new image, think of a new thought, that is a new mental formation. And the last aggregate is called consciousness. So consciousness is this awareness. So when we are sort of visualizing the new image, we are using the mind door consciousness. And if you are hearing my voice, you are using your ear consciousness. So you need to also reflect the arising and passing of the consciousness in between two images. When the image of the hair growing, image of hair falling, in between these formations, what happened to this consciousness? What happened to this awareness? Is it permanent? Is it changing? Is the intensity the same? Is it running around? Is it there 24/7? Okay, then we can ask ourselves, are these hairs or this perception towards the hairs, are they truly self? Are they truly you? Are these aggregates? Are these mental functions? Are they you or yours? If it is truly self, then you should have total control. You tell your feelings to be pleasant forever. You tell your mental perception, just hang on to this image forever, don't change. Please do not have stray thoughts. You should have total control over these mental formations. Okay, then we move on to the next part of the body, the nails, fingernails, toenails, and we wish them well and happy. And all these nails go through birth, aging, sickness, and passing away. So we think of them growing and falling, many, many cycles. And as we keep looping this image, we can also observe at the meantime the arising and passing of the 5 aggregates. So how do we know that we are not mindful of being caught, being swept away, being born in a mental samsara? So the mental samsara is these dramas and stories. So we create a story, we live in it. So that's a kind of birth. When we react with greed and anger, then we get trapped into this story, born into the story. So the whole idea is always mindful of impermanence, Keep generating right thought, right effort. And we're swimming against the stream, swimming against the whirlpool that sucks us into the story. So whatever investigation or contemplation we're doing is always real-time evidence. Anything beyond real-time evidence, very high chance of daydreaming and creating dramas and stories in the mind. So things like feelings are evidential. Yeah, changes in the image, that's evidential, so we use that. Okay, then we can ask ourselves, are these nails truly self? Can we tell the nails not to go through birth and death? Then we can think of the teeth, or the teeth inside the mouth. May they be well and happy. And all these teeth go through birth, aging, sickness, and passing away. So they keep growing and falling, growing and falling. We keep looping this birth and death process of the teeth. Even though the teeth fall off twice only, so we just treat it as a mental detachment exercise. And at the meantime, we observe the arising and passing of the 5 aggregates. So the more we observe and investigate the 5 aggregates, and reflect on impermanence, the more we detach, then we observe the sense of self. Is it increasing or decreasing? So your challenge is always to reduce this ego. How far can you reduce this craving? How far can you reduce this ego? And we can ask ourselves, are these teeth truly self? Or is even the self truly self? Huh? Okay, then we can move on to the skin. We wish all the skin well and happy from head to toe. Every patch of skin, we wish them well and happy. And all the skin are subject to birth, aging, sickness, and passing away. So you think of them growing and falling, many, many cycles. And as we keep looping this image, we can also observe the arising and passing of the 5 aggregates. Okay, then we can ask ourselves, are this skin truly self? Can we tell the skin not to go through birth and death? And next we switch to the sublime states. So we start off with the foundation of the body, mindfulness of the 4 elements. So for this particular routine, please do not visualize now. No need to visualize at all. We are using feeling of sensation, feeling of the 4 element sensations. So the earth, fire, wind, water elements. Earth represents any hard or soft sensations. Fire will be hot and cold. Wind would be fast and slow movements, any movement at all. And the water element, moist or dry. Yeah, so basically any sensation you can detect, then we wish them well and happy. Same concept, middle way to any kind of contact. So there is no deliberation, there's no need to purposely create those sensations. We do not cling on to them, we do not push them away. Yeah, so we make friends, anytime any new sensation appear, we make peace with them, wish them well and happy. New sensation appear, wish them well and happy. So the more we wish this sensations well and happy, similar to the impurities of body meditation, the mind should also calm down. Any object of meditation, the samatha aspect, should have this baseline level of craving, or the reduction of craving. Okay, so we take note of this state of mind, what's the emotion, or if possible also the shape of the mind of this baseline emotion. And now we are going to wish all beings in all directions well and happy, above, below, and all across. No need to push your mind, let it expand naturally by itself. And same thing, no visualization. Do not visualize. Once we visualize, naturally there will be certain biasness or preconceived ideas. So what we're doing is using a non-discriminative approach to encompass all beings. So all beings are made of these aggregates and elements. So what we are doing is, whenever we detect any sensation at all, we are going to wish all beings well and happy. So it doesn't matter, the sensation can be inside the body, outside the body, near or far. Any sensation you detect, anything appearing, we wish all beings well and happy. New sensation arise, may all beings be well and happy. So make sure all the noble path factors are there. You have the right thought. So this thought, you need to have right view also. That this loving kindness we generate is the middle way kind of loving kindness, no strings attached. Do not associate with the kind of, oh, I love my friends, I love my family members. So it's a boundless kind of loving kindness to all beings. It's a goodwill or friendliness to all beings. And there must be repetition, right effort. And if all the conditions are right and fall into place, one may experience the first level of concentration. which is denoted by the emotion of joy and happiness. So if there's an increment of joy, happiness, or peace from the baseline emotion, then that will indicate you're at the first level of concentration. And regardless of what happened, keep applying the cause, keep applying the right thought, wishing all beings well and happy. Everything else is bonus. This concentration or not, all these are bonus. So holding on to any state of mind is also a kind of birth. Okay, next we add some insight, some wisdom into the practice. We're going to reflect how to get a more unconditional loving kindness, more detached loving kindness. So we got to think of impermanence to shake off that attachment. So every sensation, observe how they arise and pass away. So keep reflecting on impermanence. Okay, so similarly, no matter what happened, keep being mindful of impermanence. Even though you think the mind might be quiet or calm, or those who are not so calm, also mindful of impermanence. Once we stop at that emotion or that state, then it's a kind of clinging and birth. So you keep turning the wheel, keep rowing the boat against the stream, keep reflecting on impermanence. Okay, and before we conclude, same gentle reminder from the Karaniya Metta Sutta that in all activities, standing, sitting, walking, or lying down, as long as we maintain this boundless loving kindness, this is the noblest living. And with that, we can gently open our eyes, formally end the session, but informally still can generate right thought. Okay, so any problems or questions from anyone? No issues, everyone okay? Then we can move on to the closing chant. Okay, dedicate merits. Okay. Akasatha Japumata Devanaga Mahitika Punyang Tang Anumoditva Chirang Rakantu Loka Sasanang Etavata Amhihi Sampadang Punya Sampadang Sabi Deva Sabi Puta Sabi Sada Anumodantu Sabha Sampati Siddhya. Dedication of merits to departed. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. And aspiration. Imina punya kamina mame bala samagamo. Satang samagamo hotu yavani bana patiya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, then we pay respects to the Buddha by bowing 3 times. First bow. Second bow. And the third bow. All right. Any announcements from Terence? Okay, if not, then good night and see you next week.
Okay. Good night. Thank you, Bante.
Good night.
Okay, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.